Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelbarrow Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelbarrowprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of make it happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I am joined by my co-host, my brosif, Joshua Ryan Rusin, the community director here at Jake and Gino. Josh, how are you today?
Gino, making it happen. Coming off a high of Multifamily Mastery Live here. We got the whole community together, had some really powerful speakers like Eric Thomas, Cole Hatter, Jim Shields. So much value shared that weekend. What's going on over there in Florida?
The weather's still nice. It's still warm down here. The event was in Orlando. So the key takeaways, Josh, that I took at the event were there's a lot of education there, but it's great for the networking ability. It's great to meet vendors there. It's great to meet potential partners there. And our guest that's going to be on today took 16 hours to get there. So anyone who has a make it happen mindset can make it happen. And if you have a big enough why, you'll figure out how to get to these events, because these events are powerful. I would tell everyone to go to at least 2 to 3 events a year, because there's networking there. You're going to learn from people who are doing it. You're just going to be inspired and energized. And like Eric Thomas said, it's all about execution, and it's about that energy that you have. I think a lot of the attendees that were really energized this past weekend, they're going to be able to carry that energy forward all the way to the end of the year. And then Europe starts. Let's start it up again.
Love it. Absolutely. And speaking of today's guest, we have Vince Gethings. Now, he's the owner of Villatic LLC and co-owner of Tri-City Equity Group that's based out of Midland, Michigan. They specialize in using creative financing to acquire underperforming multifamily properties that can be repositioned to increase the net operating income. Currently, he owns and manages 72 units. Now, a little bit more about Vince. He's been active duty Air Force since 2006, where he currently serves as a career assistance advisor stationed at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, Hawaii. Vince has been investing in multifamily real estate since 2016 and handles market research, underwriting, due diligence, strategic planning, negotiations, and additionally, he has a passion for financial education, where he routinely mentors groups and individuals on budgeting, investing, and researching financial independence. Furthermore, he's a senior at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, where he's pursuing a bachelor's degree in aeronautics. Lastly, Vince strives for personal and professional development, attending numerous courses to include 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, John Maxwell's Laws of Leadership, Lean Process Improvement, Arbinger's Institute's Outward Mindset, and last but not least, the Wheelbarrow Profits Academy. Welcome to the show, Vince.
All right. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Vince, how's everything in Hawaii, man? What were your big takeaways from the conference over the weekend as well?
I think E.T., he was by far the highlight of that whole second day there. Really, I don't really get that emotional, and then he got done, and I was just like, man, what do I gotta go to the next level. This is too much. So that was the biggest takeaway for me, was definitely E.T., and then the networking, of course. Getting to meet all these people from the Wheelbarrow Profits community. I've been talking with them for a year and a half now on Facebook or on the phone, Zoom calls, and actually getting out there and finally meeting them, breaking bread with everybody at the lunches and dinners. So that was pretty huge.
Vince, I'm going to name 3 things that I took away from ET that were really powerful for me. So I want everyone to write this down. One of the most important things he says is, it doesn't matter where you're born. If you're born in the United States of America, we all have the same opportunity. You need to execute. It doesn't matter about your color, your race, your skill levels. You need to execute at whatever you do. The second thing is, you don't need to motivate yourself. You need to be motivated to help others. So what do I mean by that? If I can't self-motivate myself, I need to think about others to help them. So right now I'm on this podcast because I'm doing this for my Jake and Gino team. I'm doing this for my family. So if I can't motivate myself, I've got to get that other type of motivation going on. That really helps me out because subconsciously I'm just a really self-starter. I don't need that kind of motivation. But when I bring it back and say, hey, if I don't become a better speaker, that's going to hurt the Jake and Gino brand and the Jake and Gino family. And Josh is not going to get paid what he's worth. So it's incumbent upon me to learn that skill level. So if I've got to get up an hour earlier to learn that, I've got to do that. So that's how everyone out there can motivate themselves. And the third thing is producers produce producers. Let that sink in. Here at Jake and Gino, we're producers. We're got over 1,500 units. We're crushing it. We're creating different companies. We want to create producers like you. And that's what our mission is. So it's important. Those 3 steps: execute, motivation, and producers create producers. Vince, what did you take away? Other than the emotional aspect, to me, that was great. It was awesome. He's an amazing speaker, but he had a lot of content woven into his speech.
Yeah. So more just the execution for sure. And then a lot of it was just taking responsibility, right? Where he had the exercise of like, write down who's counting on you, right? And then that's, you can make excuses, you can do all these things, but at some point you're gonna have to look in the mirror and know that it's your responsibility, no one else. The buck stops with you. Like he had the story of the life stuff he's dealing with right now, and he has to man up, so to speak. Like nobody in the world is gonna solve that problem or do anything. It's up to him. It's 100% his responsibility to take action and execute. Take care of his family. So that was pretty good, because you hear a lot of people, they always have excuses. They always have these plans or these goals they want to do, but they always have excuses of why they can't do it and other people can. And they must have some kind of shortcut or some kind of skill that they don't have. And it, like he said, none of that matters in our country, right? We have the opportunity, whoever's willing to work for it, regardless of where they start, right? So I thought that was pretty powerful as well.
That's awesome. How did you get into real estate? Why multifamily real estate for you? You're in the Air Force. What drew you to real estate?
Yeah. So being in the military, a lot of us kind of fall into stock investing as a start, just because you're deployed a lot and you're bored. So stock investing is just something easily accessible when you're out in the sandbox. You can get an internet connection, trade stocks and penny stocks, whatever. So I did that for a while, and I feel like I got okay at it. And then right around, it was like 2016, I got burned by like 1 or 2 clean energy companies, like back to back, after I did like months and months of research, and like everything was pointing toward, these companies were solid, everything looked good, all the reports were good. And then it turns out that the CEO and CFO were submitting falsified documents to the SEC and all the into the stockholders as well. And that was like the point where I was like, I did 6 months of research into this industry, this sector, this company, and really at the end of it, you have no control. And that was probably the straw for me, was losing. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough to burn a little bit, or sting a little bit, right? And I ended up selling everything and went full into real estate. We sold at the same time, I was moving to Hawaii, so we had just sold that house that I lived in California. So I took all my brokerage accounts, all the equity from my single family house, and just went full into real estate, just to initially to have that control over it. Like I can pick my market, I can pick the house, I can pick my tenants. I can't control everything, but I control a lot more than what the stock market and Wall Street have. That's how I got started.
So Vincent, do you know the 3 basic human needs? They're food, clothing, and what's the third one?
Shelter.
Apartments. You see that? You remember that? Food, clothing, and apartments. So you know one of those 3 basic human needs, and it's awesome that you went all in. From understanding that control aspect of it, I think that's really huge. Being able to do that, it's a basic human need. People need a place to live, and that's really powerful. When you joined the Jake and Gino community, what did you get out of it? What did you expect from it, and what have you gotten out of the community from joining it?
Yeah. So I had this big chunk of money and I started buying. I did the bigger pockets. They kind of focus on smaller properties, the duplexes and the fourplexes. So I did that. Bought up about 20 units my first year, or 19 units, right. Duplexes and hodgepodge portfolio fourplexes and whatnot. And then I hit a plateau right around 2000. It was 18, right when I met you guys in your podcast. Was like I hit this plateau and I couldn't get past that residential market to go into the commercial market. There was something I was missing. And that's why I started, going back to the drawing board, going back to education, and figuring out how to make that leap. Because I had another, aha moment, which is one of my 4 units. I put about 80 grand into it, fixed it up, brought rents, $150 per unit. Went to go get it appraised to do the BRRRR strategy, where buy, rehab, refinance, and it appraised for the exact dollar amount I bought it from. Prior. So that was like, okay, I'm done with residential, right? I want to have more control. You can't force appreciation in residential properties, the sub 5 unit, like you can on commercial. Commercial, you increase the NOI, property value goes up. So that was the aha moment. And I was like, okay, I need a scale. I need commercial. I need somebody to help me get me there. And that's when I found the Wheelbarrow Profits Academy and you, Gino, and Jake.
So that's great. Another thing we stressed this weekend was education times action equals what, Vince?
What was it? Results?
Yes. See that? Education times action equals results. Everybody out there, Vince is taking massive action. I was taking massive action 10 years ago. Vince actually went back and got more education because he didn't know the multifamily home space. He invested in his education. And that's important. And I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but let me know what you learned from the education, what you took away from it. For me, it dramatically shortened my learning curve. I was able to avoid certain mistakes. I was able to network and partner and mastermind with people who were a lot smarter than me. Those are some of the things that I got from my education, because we're both big, massive action takers. But if you're taking the wrong actions, you're going to get the wrong results. So what did you learn from the platform specifically?
Oh, definitely just the systems, the proof of concept. Like, obviously before I got to know you and talk to you, I was like, well, these guys just did, I think we're at 1,000 units or just get crested 1,000 units. I was like, well, they did this. They're have these systems they're giving out to the community here. They must work. So just being able to use your systems so I'm not reinventing the wheel, like you're talking about shortening that learning curve. Definitely breaking down how you develop systems. What was the issue you ran into, right? That was the catalyst to implementing this new process or this new system, or what to watch out for. So that full circle of how these systems make, because anybody can just put a checklist on a PDF and email it to people. System, but the platform actually explained, this is how we messed up the first time, and this is the system that we created, and so you understand how it's created. And a lot of it with multifamily, larger multifamilies, is you don't know what you don't know. So I would have never have known that RUBS existed. I would never known what cost segregation meant if I wasn't in the platform and learning that from the modules and all the manage right. Everything in there was just gold, especially the manage.
So manage right. I don't want to excite you, but Jake and I are in my studio today. We've recorded 2 new manage right videos, one on KPIs and one on procedures for property management companies. This is all behind the curtain. This is just for the Jake and Gino community. So those are important things. If you're third-party property management, what KPIs do you specifically need? And we go over this on the weekly lessons, but we've created those videos for it. And also one thing I took away from the weekend was the business building. Remember the 3 things: the people, the systems, and the culture. We dive into that in a 3rd video for the Academy. So as soon as they're done, my wife's actually editing them right now. I'm going to send them out to the Academy, but I want you to watch them because I think they're really going to help you for the manage right systems. And it's exciting because we're constantly learning, and I'm learning stuff all the time, and that's part of it. We're constantly educating. And there's something that really caught my mind when you said that. What is it worth when somebody teaches you about RUBS? Because I never knew about RUBS 10 years ago either, or cost segregation. It's game changing, right? So if you pay $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 for that knowledge, but you utilize it one time, your ROI is infinite because it's going to continue to go forward. So that's a really big point that you made. There's things you don't know that you don't know. That's really powerful. I love that. Let me ask you, how do you invest from Hawaii to mainland USA? Because I have a lot of people out there and their objection is, I can't go out of my market. Well, you're going out of the continent. How does that work? How do you do that?
Yeah, so that was my original business, Villatic, was on me not being involved out of necessity rather than the retirement plan of it, of, forget it. Like, I had to develop my entire business from scratch with me not being there. So I went out and I researched the market first, and then I started building the teams. Before I even bought my first 4-unit, I built all the teams first. So I went out and, okay, who needs to be on my team? Made that list and went out and started cold calling people, interviewing people, and built this inner web of a team back home that each position, for example, like the property manager, my boots on the ground, bird dog, the GC, my agent, my lawyer, all those people in that market know who the other person is. They all overlap. So when you do that, it kind of looks like a Venn diagram in my head where it overlaps. And then when they all report back to me, I have a complete picture of what it looks like from each person's different perspective on whatever their unique purpose in that team is. When they report back to me, I can put it all together, and I don't even need to be there. I don't even need to be at that property that I'm about to buy. And I have a pretty solid picture of what the condition is, what it's worth, what are the hurdles I'm going to have to deal with, who the bad tenants are, who the good tenants are, what we're going to be able to sell for on exit. So we did that out of necessity, because I've always been in the military. So I'm never going to be there in that market to go down the street and fix a toilet or, jump on the roof and hammer some shingles. It's never an option. So I had to start the business backwards. And I also had the leg up that I read the E-Myth before I started. So the Michael Gerber book where he's talking about the franchise approach, the systems approach. So I read that by happenstance before I started investing. So that helped out a lot too. So build the systems first and then invest.
Vince, you didn't do it backwards. I did it backwards. Josh did it backwards. You did it the right way because you built a business and you got into multifamily, and multifamily is a business if you do it the right way. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to take care of your properties and go and do all that work and get paid for that and create a property management company, you're missing the big picture of it. You're not able to scale. You're focusing on processes, and you're focusing on events that don't generate revenue. You're focusing on events that are going to generate revenue, whether you're underwriting the deals, you're creating a business out of it. A lot of people, when they get into it, they're micromanaging it, and they think that real estate is tenants, toilets, and trash. It's not that. Real estate is all about debt and taxes. That's what it's about. And it's about managing an asset. So you started the right way. I think everyone on that podcast, there's the golden nugget right there. Start with choosing the market. Once you have that market crystallized, then start adding team members on. You're going to, obviously the broker is the most important one because you want to get deal flow, right? But after that, if you have an army behind you, when you close the deal, you're going to have the title company there. You're going to have your CPA there. You're going to have possibly a syndication company there. You're probably going to have an inspector there. You probably have a construction company there. So all those people fall into place. And don't freak out if you don't have one when you start, but that's with the end in mind. That will come. So that is awesome. I wanted to ask you about, one of your first deals that you did there. Can you give me some learning lessons that you had on the first couple of deals that you did?
Do you want to do the first couple or the last one, the 52?
Let's do the last one.
The last one, okay. That was the one I scaled big on. So, so after I made the decision, I'm done with residential, the 4 units and everything, and jumping big. Now I had that whole hurdle of getting brokers to take me seriously. All right, so I called some brokers, started building up those relationships, showing them, definitely big thanks to that credibility book. That way they actually pick up the phone and call me back, right? So get them on the phone, tell them what I'm looking for, criteria, and we got in contract on this. It's a 52 unit. It was a portfolio, so it was an 8 unit, a 12 unit, and 32 unit, all in the same town, offloaded by another group of investors. Broker brought that to us. We started analyzing it, and once we got all the financials, biggest opportunity we saw with that one wasn't actually that the rents were under market. They were about 15% or so. It was actually the expenses that we saw were through the roof. They had, once we added up the property management, it was like 27% property management, because they had property management payroll and also collecting fees, right? They had a maintenance man on payroll and also collecting fees, right? So once I added all this stuff up, I was like, okay, just by taken that in-house and nixing those 2 jobs on day one, the deal was viable, cash flowed well. And then once we add in rubs, since we add in cost seg, once we add in getting the rent stabilized and the rent roll stabilized, this deal ended up being a home run. Still there, we're still resting phase 1, going into phase 2 of acquisition, but we close in July of this year.
So let me just, I guess, want to bookend that. So what Vince saw was the value add. And we always think about raising rents. But we teach at Jake and Gino that there's other value adds. For every $1 of expense you save, that's $1 to your bottom line. Every $1 of revenue you add, it's not $1 because there's certain expenses associated with property management is going to go up, your utility might go up, landscaping, whatever. But if you save $1 off the bottom line in expenses, that's totally saved. And the other thing with the credibility book, I love the credibility book. You know why? Because proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. When you're properly prepared, you're in the military, you know it. I can already see from the business model, from the business plan, from having team members. When you have the credibility book, you have everything lined out there. You have your business plan. You give it to a broker. Most of them have never seen one before. They know you're serious. They know you've got a business plan. They can revert to it. You've got your assets in there and you've got your business plan in there. So you're on fire with being properly prepared, and you can push back and you have any objections because Vince, you're a salesperson when you're talking to the brokers. Why are they going to go with you as opposed to going with Josh? And with that credibility book and with all your team members in place, you're a no-brainer. Am I correct?
Exactly. And that's what that's how we built out the credibility. So I built 2, one for the broker and then one I had to sell it to the banker too, right? So sell it to the banker. So the first one for the broker, they saw, okay, he has 20 units. So what, right? How is he going to land this fish, this 52?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, here's my team, right? So I put on there, everybody in my team, their bio, their direct lines, and they're from that market. They're from that community. So there's a good chance they probably knew 9 out of 10 of the people on my team.
Yeah.
Them already. So having that network there helped out a lot. Broker to take my offer seriously, especially because we got him down a pretty good amount on the price from that. So yeah, the credibility book definitely helped out. Being able to explain, here's how we're going to land it. Here's my network there.
That's awesome. And did you say you used seller financing on this deal also?
No. So this deal is really creative. That's in my bio there, I put creative financing. So the way we did it was I did a JV. So me and 3 other people that I found here in Hawaii through networking started this JV. We ended up the 8 unit, right? It's 3 properties at 8, 12, and 32. We bought the 8 unit cash for $246,000. Then that gave us time to get, because the bank was still working on underwriting, see if this was a viable deal. And I was still selling them, getting them to buy off on it. So I wanted to, instead of the deal to go sideways and go dead on me, go stale on me, I was like, okay, let's buy the 8 unit. We did that, 246 cash. That showed the sellers that we were serious, the brokers were serious, while we were working on closing the rest of the 44 units with the bank, because we need the debt on that. Then the bank came through. We got everything with them. Underwriting took a little bit longer than we had planned, an extra month or so for them to kind of wrap their head around everything. And what we did was we cross-collateralized the 8 unit as our down payment. So the first time we came out of pocket $246 to buy the 8 unit. At the closing, when we did the blanket loan and wrapped everything back up with the local bank, we came out of pocket, I think it was like $12,000 to close because we did it that way. And we ended up getting a higher LTV. The original quote was 75% LTV for the bank loan. But once we factored in everything in the cross collateralization, actually came out to 87% once we did the full equation. So,
wow. That is awesome. Patience and persistence and actually having the plan and thinking outside the box, right? Being unique and being really, that is really being thoughtful about the whole process. How long did it take this whole process to work itself out?
All right. So we closed on the 8 unit. That was the cash purchase in March. And we closed on the full, close on the 44 and the refinance at the same time as the back-to-back close, so to speak, on the end of July. So
wow.
months to wrap this all up and figure this all out.
Wow, that is awesome. Just let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Hello, everybody. Jake and Gino here, and it's that time of year again. Rand Cares is looking to feed 20,000 hungry children this fall, and we can do it with your help. Our mission is to improve the lives of others by creating communities that allow people to become the best versions of themselves.
Rand Cares was created to help further this mission. Please visit our Jake and Gino Facebook page and click the Rand Cares link pinned to the top of the page to donate and help fulfill our mission by feeding 20,000 hungry kids this fall. Thank you for partnering with our family of companies to make a huge impact in our community.
All right, Vince, I got some short answer questions for you here. And I think I have the answer for this one, but what's your favorite book and why?
Yeah, so everybody probably says Rich Dad. And that was definitely one of the paradigm shifting books. But for me, I think Never Split the Difference is my favorite book when it comes to the biggest ROI that I've ever had from reading 300 pages. That book alone has made me probably 150 grand just this year alone. Just being able to be confident in negotiating and understanding the psychology of negotiating that's an incredible book. But the biggest mindset shift was probably the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. Because my original goal in real estate was like, okay, I'm going to get 20 units, pay them off, and then that's going to be my retirement fund, right? So I was thinking small, and that was viable. I read the 10X rule, and Grant Cardone kind of gets in your head of like, he does a pretty brash, right? But he gets in your head and he's like, yes, got to think bigger. So then I went from 20 units to 200 units, right? So my 10-year goal was 20 units, which I did in about a year. But now my goal was 200 units, and I'm already at 72 6 months later. So taking that massive action, right, is no excuse not to. Those are the two. I know you said one, but Never Split the Difference and the 10X rule. And then the honeybee. Honeybee's good too. I got that.
Yes, the honeybee. So what's really cool, Vince, about that is that you don't know what you don't know about that either, right? When I set goals, the same thing. You set a goal number, but the amazing thing that happens, I want everyone to hear this because it's really powerful and it's really important. Once you get into your first deal, the momentum you create, the relationships you create, going to another live event, going to meetups, meeting new investors, they see you're successful, and success breeds success. And all of a sudden they want to hang out with Vince. And Vince, how'd you do that? You're in Hawaii, you're working full time. How do you have 70 units? And you start attracting more capital and you start attracting more deals, and the brokers start calling you back. Wow, that's a novel idea because you're closing deals and you're not wasting their time and you're not being a tire kicker. So those goals write down, but always think big, because once you get into the game and you do your first deal, all of a sudden the opportunity starts opening up and the momentum starts coming to play. So that's exactly what's going to happen to you. And if you got 72 units in 6 months, 3 years from now, you'll probably have 500 units without batting an eye.
That's huge. All right. What about best habit for success and why?
Best habit is just take action. For me, I think I got a little bit of ADD, so I can't sit there and do the analysis paralysis that really cripples most people. I know most of my peers, most of my friends that are really smart, but they freeze up when they have to execute and they take action. So best habit is take action. Don't worry about getting a plan 100%. Get it to where it's viable, get a good margin of safety, and then just take off full sprint. You'll figure out the rest as you go. You may have to bump little navigation changes, degrees either direction to get to where you need to go, but just take action. Don't wait for the plan to be 100%.
Josh, did you hear that? Just hit the button on the email, send it out, and whatever happens, happens. And then we commit, and then we figure it out. And then once you make a mistake, you can just, cross correct. And it's true, Vince. I think Amazon, Jeff Bezos says that you have a vision. Your journey to get to that vision is not going to be a straight line. You're going to have to deviate. Just deviate, commit to getting to that vision. Don't change the vision, change the journey, change the course to it. So I totally 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I love that one. Okay, what about your best tip for someone looking to get into their first multifamily property?
Best tip. I've read a lot of what's his name? Is it Ryan Holiday? The Lose the Ego books, right? So lose the ego, lose that scarcity mindset, and just partner with somebody. And that's going to shorten your road to success faster than anything. A lot of people they get stuck doing 4 units or the small multifamily because that's all they can afford to do by themselves, right? But if you have one guy that can do a 4 unit, a girl that can do a 4 unit, you put their money together and they can do a 20 unit together, right? So it's lose the ego of that sense of everything has to be mine. I have to have control. I don't want to share with everybody. Lose that. Find some like-minded people with similar timelines, similar goals, definitely the same value structure. Partner with them, and you're going to it's like the hockey stick, right? Of compounding effort and results. You guys are just going to blow up. So that's the best tip I have for somebody new is just partnering with somebody as soon as possible.
I like that. All right, there's been some serious golden nuggets in this episode, and I want to unpack some of them, and then I'm sure Gino's going to add way more on top of it. So my first big takeaway, and I'm going to piggyback on a Bill Gates quote here: if you're born poor, it's not your fault, but if you die poor, it is. There's so much opportunity in this country. Find a vehicle, take massive action, find the right person to follow and learn from, and just take action. The second is you can have excuses or results, not both. The next one's going to be systems. You got to create the system, operate the system, and then delegate the system. Or if you're really smart in business, take someone else's system and implement that. In school, they call it cheating. In business, it's genius. From there, the credibility book, the ability to leverage that, which is a system there. Now, Vince, I actually got a question. So would you mind if the listeners emailed you sharing your credibility book with them? I think it could help a lot of people. Would that be something you'd be okay with?
Absolutely.
What's your email? And will you spell it out really quick so that the listeners can get a hold of you if they want?
Yep. It's Vincent at Villanautics.com. So VINCENT at VILLANAUTICS.com.
Gotcha. Gino, what other takeaways did you have, my friend?
So education times action equals results. You need both of them put together to really become successful. The next one is what we preached all weekend, and what we've been preaching is what Vince is doing: people, systems, and culture. You need those to create a viable business, because you don't want to just accumulate assets and run yourself ragged and work 24/7. You want to be able to create a business where at least you can enjoy other things and grow other businesses. So that's what we've been doing. We enjoy the investment aspect of it. We've been able to create an education company. We've been able to create a property management company, a syndication company. If we were just focused on the asset itself, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's really important. I love the credibility book. I love the proper preparation, and I love the clarity. I mean, and I think the other thing that really came through on this is that really start reaching up. And don't be afraid to partner with other people. I think the community you choose, whether it's the Jake and Gino community or another education community, I think really helps, because it's an environment. When you're in front of that environment and nobody's judging you and everyone's going for the same thing, we're all in multifamily, we all want to become financially free, like-minded people will prop themselves up and help themselves. And for me, it was important to surround myself with a great community. And now I've had tons of masterminds. Jake was my first mastermind, then my partner Mike, then the Jake and Gino community, then I had Josh come on board, then I have Jen. I think of them as all masterminds where I get a lot of energy and I get a lot, a huge desire, and there's a lot of passion to do stuff. And when you work from a place of passion, anything is possible. So I think that's really important. What Vince said, I love partnering. Just figure out, the tips on partnering, Josh, that I would leave people with is think about, a partner who's going to really work hard. Think of a partner who's going to be there when you need them. Think of a partner who has very similar ethics that you do, and think of a partner who has very similar goals that you have. My goals were to be multifamily, not to fix and flip, and to have a growth mindset. If your partner is stuck in, I don't really want to grow anymore, I don't think this internet is any good, then you got to get rid of the partner, because it's all about growth mindset. Because growing a business is like, you need to learn. You need to be a constant learner. You're never an expert at anything. You're constantly learning and evolving. So that's really the crux of the partnership. So I could keep going, Josh, but this has been an awesome show. I'm really glad that Vince shared a lot of these golden nuggets with us.
I agree with you. And I want to thank Vince for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing his movers and shakers story. Guys, if you want to be the next guest on Movers and Shakers, email me, josh@jakeandgino.com. Now, if you enjoyed this show, please leave us a review. And until next time, let's make it a Movers and Shakers week. See ya, everyone.
Thanks, Vince.
Yep. Thank you, guys.